Okay, 1 second. Let me adjust the microphone. All right, so we're going to get started in about a minute or two. So I'd just like to ask that everyone keep themselves muted during the duration of the webinar. At the end, there will be a period where people can either post in the chat or unmute themselves to ask a question. I will do my best to answer any questions that you may have. If there's anything I'm unable to answer at that time, I will do my best to reach out to you with the answer after the fact. You'll get it alongside the recording of the webinar that I will also be sending out later today. With that, it is now 11 o'clock. I think we're good to get started. All right then, so hello there. My name is Quentin Russell, and I'm the Content Marketing Specialist here at Doc365. And today, I'm excited to share with you the next part of our SharePoint Basics series, Communication Sites. So, 1 second. So what are we going to be talking about today? Well, first of all, we're going to be covering what communication sites are. Then we're going to talk about the difference between a communication site and a team site. After that, we're going to go over when you should be using communication sites. We'll follow that up with tips that you can use for using communication sites. And then at the end, we'll have a question and answer session where people can either chime in through text chat or through their microphone to ask any questions they may have as a result of this webinar. Again, if I'm unable to answer that question during this webinar, I will make sure to send the answer alongside the recording of the webinar that everyone will be getting at the end of the day. That's completely free, so you don't have to worry about that. So before we get started, I really quick like to go over who we are, Doc365. We're a company located here in Jacksonville, Florida. We have over 17 years of experience working with SharePoint to deliver exceptional productivity solutions. We have experience working with a wide range of companies in a variety of industries to implement a wide array of SharePoint productivity tools. These include intranet portals, contract management systems, board meeting solutions, project management solutions, really anything that can help your business do what it does, but just better and more effectively. Which really plays into our mission. Our goal is to break down silos and get stronger employee engagement across your organization. What that kind of means is that over the last couple decades, engagement in the workplace has fallen. We're at the point in the United States where, according to a recent Gallup poll, about only 33% of employees are actively engaged in the workplace, which means about 2/3 of your workplace is either just showing up or is actively disengaged. Now, that's bad for productivity. Everyone knows the higher your employee engagement is, the more productive and effective their work is. That's why you need to be on the lookout for any tools, resources, strategies that you can use to really boost engagement in your organization and combat a lot of the inefficiencies. And we've definitely helped do that over the years for a ton of different companies of a variety of different sizes. We do work with companies as small as 40 to 50 people, all the way up to several thousand. We work with companies like Jack's Federal Credit Union. So we do work with several YMCA's, different United Ways. We also do work with companies such as King's Hawaiian. We're responsible for a lot of their internal infrastructure in terms of their IT solutions and everything. So we definitely have a handle on what we're doing when it comes to SharePoint. A lot of what we do is actually built in, everything we do is built within Office 365 and SharePoint because it's a great system. We really like using it, mostly because it's really easy to pick up and get into. With that said, just a little bit more of advertising before we get on to the meat of the webinar. I'd also like to invite you to sign up for each of our upcoming webinars. So next week, on the 24th at 11 a.m., we'll be hosting Project Management 101. There, I will be covering different strategies you can use to really get better at project management in your organization, because we all know that project management isn't fun, but this can definitely make it, well, it won't make it fun and exciting, it'll definitely make it manageable. In addition to that, the week after, on December 1st, We're going to be covering team sites. So what team sites and communication sites are often compared to one another. When you go to create a new site within SharePoint, those are the two options that are available to you. So this week we're covering communication sites, and in 2 weeks we will be covering team sites. So make sure to be on the lookout for that. You can sign up on our website, as the same with all of these. On the 8th, we'll be doing a webinar on what to look for in an intranet provider. So basically, not just what to look for in an intranet, but also just a provider. Like, what kind of support do they offer? Are they organized? Are they on top of the ball? What is their kind of overall strategy? Are they communicative? That sort of thing. Really important things to look out for, because it doesn't matter if the product's good. If the company isn't doing what you need it to do, you probably shouldn't be working with them. And finally, after that, since we plan about a month out in advance, our next SharePoint Basic series, or the later one, is going to be on hub sites. So a lot of what we're covering here for communication sites and team sites, we're going to be doing the same for hub sites in SharePoint Online. You can start signups for that will be open tomorrow. You should receive an email for that in the coming days. However, the first 3, Project Management 101, SharePoint Basic Series, team sites, and what to look for in an internet provider are all up on our website. You can sign up there for free. You know, each one of these is at 11 a.m. They're all free. And just like with all of our other webinars, if you sign up and you can't attend at 11 a.m. during the live event, you will get a recording of the webinar sent to you after the fact. So with that out of the way, what are communication sites? Well, originally, I was going to do a whole PowerPoint, and then I was going to take you into a live thing and show you how things worked and yada, yada. But really, communication sites are all about presentations. They're all about showing things off and, you know, communicating a message. So rather than, you know, do that and stick around here and, you know, show off a couple things, I figured I'd make a communication site to show you what a communication site is. So this right here is a communication site. I built it for the webinar. Really quick, actually, let me go and show you how to build a communication site, because really that's, 1 second there. Yeah, when I go to watch a webinar, I know I personally don't want to be inundated with ads. So the first 5 minutes, get it out of the way. You guys are here for the content. So really quick, how do you create a communication site? Well, pretty simple. You just go in here, you go to Microsoft SharePoint. So if you're going from, so say you're just starting from within Office 365, just go into SharePoint. It'll bring you back to this page that we're on right now. Go to Create Site. And you'll be offered a choice between team sites and communication sites. So just go to what you want to do. We'll talk about the different designs in a little bit. We'll be covering what those look like, what you can do with those. But really quick, we're just going to call this, you know, webinar CS, communication site. You can add a description, and what it'll do is it'll create the actual URL that people use if they want to access this site directly. If they want to, you know, type it into the URL bar. So what you'll do is you select the language you want to use. Most likely you'll be using English. However, if you want to do international sites, if you want to do something for multilingual people, say the audience, your intended audience is not English, you can definitely choose the language. Just click finish. And that'll get you into the, it'll take a little bit to create the site, but that's how you create a communication site. Of course, that's not really the point of this webinar. Well, it is showing you how to create a communication site, but really I want to go over how to use communication sites. So walking you through the process of communication sites, what are they? Well, SharePoint Online Communication Site is one of the 2 sites that are available to you in the modern experience. The modern experience is essentially, when people talk about modern, it's basically just SharePoint Online. The way things look now, while SharePoint Online doesn't really deal with classic experience, you really only have that differentiation between the two when you're doing on-prem versus online. And since we don't really do a lot with on-premises, which is basically the offline where you host your own servers and build everything from scratch, we're focused on online, which pretty much exclusively does modern. So basically, their communication sites are tools that are great for communicating information to people. Essentially, you can use them to do things like sharing news or different reports, statuses, any other information, but not just to present it, but to present it in like a really aesthetically pleasing way. Basically, the point of them is that they're nice to look at, they're mobile, and they're easy to just build with very minimal time and training. So basically, this is an example of what a really advanced communication site would look like. This is us using it as an intranet homepage. I'll take you through the advanced applications of a communication site. I will be showing you a little bit of some of what we can do with that at a really higher level. So what is the kind of main draw of the communication site? Well, it's the hero web part. So what is the hero web part? Well, the hero web part is it's a web part designed to promote content in SharePoint Online. It allows you to display and link up to about 5 different items in several different layouts. Basically, this is the presentation aspect. It looks really nice. As you can see, it's got that 5 layer. If you want to, there's 5 different ways you can link out to it. You are not limited or confined to just doing that 5 part. You can actually have it be, if you want to, you can have it be 1 tile, 2 tiles, 3 tiles, really anything that matches the customization you're trying to do on the site. So what we're going to do is we're going to move that up, and we're going to discard the changes because we're not wanting to change this right now. 1 second. How can communication sites be used in terms of video? That is a great question. So basically what you can do is like with anything else, so long as you have a video, you can come in here and add a new web part, and you can embed a video, or if you want, there should be just a video web part. Yeah. So if you have like a video on, if you have a video on YouTube, so if you go in there, host it, and because that's one of the easiest ways to do it, is to upload a video to YouTube, have it unlisted on a channel, and then host it within SharePoint itself. And so basically you can have the video be full-sized or whatever size you want it to be within the area. How can I, for streaming? Not so much for streaming. I'm not entirely certain about that. Because a lot of it has to be hosted content. I don't think there's a great tool for live. You could potentially build something with a workflow for that but that would be, let me get back to you on that. That would be theoretically you should be able to, but I don't know the mechanical application of that. And so let me figure that out and get back to you. I will send that to you with the recording later in the webinar. So basically like I was saying with the hero web part, you can do a lot of different things with it. Sorry for going back, because not only can you have it be this 5-panel thing, you can also have it be potentially, let's go back in here, instead of having it be tiles, it's layered. Pretty simple. There's a lot of customization, but we'll get back to that in a quick second, because it's part of the different options that you have when you go to build a communication site. Yes, you can link the 2 sites. So if you want to do work within a team site and then have links out to that in another site, actually really quick, I have something that links out to, so just right here, a hyperlink, it'll take you right to a team site. So everything, yeah, you can link the content between the 2. If you have a document stored in a team site here and you want to host it within a communication site, you can do that. That is possible. So let's go back to this right here. Let's open up the chat. Yes, so Dion, thank you. Perfect. Tree of contents, some product. I will get to that at the end. I constantly do that where I get distracted by the questions. I promise I will get back to your question as I get through this webinar. If I keep answering questions like I am now, we're gonna have this go on a bit longer than we'd all like to. Communication sites. So when you create a communication site, you have three options that open up to you. You're going to have the option to choose between a topic, a showcase, and a blank communication site. So really quick, I'll show you what a topic communication site looks like. So when you go and say, okay, I want to choose topic, you'll open up and this is the default. It's just it opens up, it has the hero web part and it has the news web part. There's an events web part and a documents web part. This is the default when you create a communication site, and it uses the tiles version of the hero web part. So that allows you to build around that. When you build a showcase communication site as the default option that you choose, it'll instead go with that tile option as you kind of scroll down, and this will go to the image gallery. So this is more for like if you're using topic, you're generally wanting to use that for like a home page for something to guide people around. That's kind of how we've built our doc intranet and its homepage. This is more for like if you're trying to present a project. So one second, going back. And then finally, if you don't want to be confined to any of these and you just want to build a normal communication site how you want it to, this is not that. I accidentally linked out to the wrong thing. Let me just show you that real quick. Instead, let me exit out of here. I apologize. I thought I had gotten my links right there. Mistakes happen. So really quick, just go to create a site. Communication site, go to blank. We'll just call this, we'll call it doc blank 1. That makes sure that there's nothing there. Blank, and it'll just show up as a blank canvas that you can really just do whatever you want to it. You're not really confined to anything or any type of art, infrastructure or anything. It's just whatever you want it to be. So moving on from that, what's the difference between a communication site and a team site? Well, like I've been saying, a communication site is more about presenting information, showing things off, telling people what they need to know, that sort of thing, guiding people around. Team site is generally used more for collaboration. So really quick, going back to that team site from earlier, it's more about quick links out to different areas, like just by default. There's the news tab and everything. There's sending people out to different locations. So like a conversation that you're having, wherein there's just that, if it would load, 1 second. Yep, just takes you right out into Outlook. And basically it's less about the actual function of the site and more about how it's initially laid out. Because theoretically, when you build a site within SharePoint, you can build it to be however you want, even starting with the default communication site. You could technically build that out to have all the same functionality as a communication site. However, it's just the defaults, essentially. So like right here, when you click on Notebook, it just sends you out to OneNote as part of being where it's been linked to. But just working within SharePoint, working within the templates provided by SharePoint, the big difference is that a communication site is about presenting information and a team site is about working on said information. You're generally going to want to have fewer people working in a communication site. So generally they're going to be, 3 or 4 different people who have been working on a project, say like your project leads, and they're putting together the information stylistically. And with the team site, you're generally going to have like a broader amount of people. So like a department, people within a specific project, as they're working, collaborating. Team sites aren't going to be as pretty looking, but they're kind of, and also they're going to kind of be more like everyone has the ability to modify information within a team site, well, based off of permissions, but we're not really talking about permissions today. We do have a webinar on that previously that we've done, user and group management. Again, you can find that on our website. But generally, people are able to modify the team sites and everything and add and change things around due to having equal levels of permissions, essentially. So basically, yeah, that's the major difference. So what exactly can you do with a communication site? Well, one of the first things that you can do is you can use it to build something like an intranet homepage, basically like a launch pad that sends people where they want to go. For instance, taking a look at Doc Intranet. Right here, as you can see, we're using the hero web part as part of the home page. Pretty standard, takes you out where you need to go. You can click on each of these and they'll send you to a different link. You can use these to either promote links. So something like, hey, this is where you go for the employee handbook. This is where you're going to want to go for, to get started for your day. Or you can do things like, hey, this is the employee of the month. These are the upcoming events that we're doing. Hey, this paneling right here is something that we did custom, but you can also have something similar to that to present the information. As you can see, this is this is definitely not a default communication site. This is something that we here at Doc have worked with and customized and completely made our own. So while it is built on the basis of a communication site, it's broader than that. And the thing is that if you were if you were ever interested in using Doc Intranet, it wouldn't look like this for you. It would be completely customized to fit your needs and whatever look you have for your company. But getting back to communication sites, what else can you use them for? You can use them for product launch pages. So basically showing off your products, showing off what they can do. This can be both internal and external. Due to SharePoint Online essentially being a website, and that you can basically modulate control over based off of providing people with different usernames, passwords, and based off of where they are in your Active Directory and everything. You can, if you're showing something off to a potential customer, you can provide them a link to the page, give them like a guest username and access with a certain level of permissions, and then say, okay, if you really want to get to know our product, here it is, here's how to use it, look around, read up everything that we have in there. Another good way to do it is to have it as like a company news site. So if something happens within the company, if there's good things that are happening, it can be like a blog, it can be like a, hey, we did this event, here's some cool pictures from it. Oh, we're about to launch a new product, that sort of thing. Another good way you can use a communication site is kind of like a self-service portal. So basically, if you want to go in and say, employees come in here, navigate around, do what you need to do, that sort of thing, that can be a great way to have that. Like a really good example of that is not just our intranet homepage, but also with our learning management system. So let me pull that up really quick. So again, this is definitely not the basic. You're not going to be able to build this within like your first couple of days of being of working within SharePoint, of working with communication sites. This is something that we've built over the course of several years. But like with this is a self-service area, so basically you have everything there. Go to my training. As you can see, you can click on it, see where you need to be going. It tracks all of your information, so you can see, okay, this was my highest quiz score. This is the different content that we have. Again, this is built on a communication site, but it's a high-level application through years of development. So another way you can do it is for example with a company event. So going back to our intranet, linking out to a page. Let's go back even further. So going to intranet version 3. So for example, clicking on the link, it'll pull that up for you to say, okay, this is happening on this day. You can also look at this as, okay, events calendar, what's going on. It'll link you out to a calendar that you can set up in your communication site and then say, okay, what's going on here? It's updated within the calendar itself. Let's see, going to marketing, for example, similar situation, upcoming events, what's going on, that sort of information that you can really just kind of play around with and build to look like how you want it. So moving on from that, in terms of, so you've built your communication site, you're getting it going, you're playing around with it and everything. What do you do to make it better? how do you build it up and make it really what you want it to be? Well, first of all, you want to plan out your sites. If you are working within SharePoint Online, if you're building out a new site for anything really, but especially with your communication sites and presenting information, plan it out. Basically say, okay, what needs to go where? What content do I need? How am I going to structure my homepage? Really just think about it. If you have to, get a pen and paper, write everything out, build out the structure, because it's really good to visualize before committing anything to the site. Because it's a lot easier to build and make smaller edits than to build everything, realize that your communication site isn't working out the way you want it to, and then having to restructure everything and try to copy and paste information to new pages as you rebuild out that structure. Which ties into the next point, which is make sure to build out your homepage last, because your homepage is essentially just your navigation. That tells people, especially with a communication site, that tells people where they should be going and how, and basically it doesn't give them the information that they need, but it gives them the path to get to that information. So build out all of your content pages first, and then structure your homepage around that, which can again goes back to that planning. In terms of the hero web part and everything, not all of the tiles you need an image. Sometimes, especially if you're using like similar types of images, they can blend together. So potentially consider using just, you have your image in one block, and then you have a solid color image next to it that really helps everything pop out. Because it's really about navigation and people being able to understand where they need to be going in the site. Another tip that we have is to build for mobile. As people are starting to access SharePoint more and more from their phones, your sites just in general need to be built around mobile, but especially your communication sites where it's all about presenting information. So one thing to think about with the hero web part is that as you're using it on mobile, it'll actually collapse everything into one image. You won't get the multiple panels stacked next to each other. Instead, it'll be panels that people have to essentially swipe through. So with that, you want to kind of plan around that. So, if you have a panel layout that looks really well, that looks really good and spread out, but the images don't make sense when you're having to scroll through, reconsider that. Because, you want mobile users to understand what's going on. While that's not as much of a concern if you're doing more internal information and people know what they're doing. If you're doing like an external product launch, if you're showing something off to customers or something using a communication site, that's when you really want to consider that. Another thing is that you need to own all of the images that you're using, or they need to be royalty free. So what basically, this isn't as much of a concern on SharePoint on premises, but also you're not really using communication sites on SharePoint on premises, but especially with SharePoint Online, because it's on the internet, you need to own the images that you're putting on there. Because that could potentially open you up to lawsuits. So anytime you add an image, make sure it's from either the SharePoint stock images, which everything on here is from the SharePoint stock images, or it's from something like Pexels, Pixabay, Unsplash, or EveryPixel. Basically something where they're like, yes, you can use this, you just can't use it for like potentially commercial, whatever. Make sure to read whatever the licensing is on it. So really quick, let's go here. So like, for example, I like to keep Pexels right here. As any marketer would know, this is definitely where you want to go. So basically just like work, make sure to, when you check that images, like the image that you're going to be uploading. So really quick, we're gonna click right here. Make sure to check the, see right here, free to use. Make sure to check the license. And the license can depend on sites like Pexels. Everything on here is free to use, no attribution. You can modify them, but that's why Pexels is the best. That's the one I recommend using for any images you're uploading to like a communication site or just in general. But also, but like depending on the site, the different images you use might have different licensings that they require. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And finally, the last one is you need to build around user experience. This is something we've kind of been dancing around with these tips, but essentially, be concise with the information you're using. Don't stack information on top of one another. Like a really good example of this is that, so going to back to our intranet. Nope, that is the wrong link. I do not want to click out to just the generic Office 365. Really quick, going to our products. I do note that using our products, you do not need to use the Edge platform. I understand most of you are probably Google Chrome people, but going out to our intranet and going to find, one second, scroll down. Where is it? Yep, the wiki that we have built around a communication site, very obviously. This is a great example of design philosophy. Don't present it, don't do long paragraphs, make sure to have certain titles stand out, have your hyperlinks be differentiated. As you go through and click on things, do single paragraphs, don't stack them on top of each, don't have while you could theoretically, combine these two together to do big chunks, make sure to do smaller paragraphs. Tabbing is incredible. But again, tabbing is something that's a bit more advanced when it comes to a communication site. But it essentially allows you to break up the information so that people can say, okay, so this is different from this, and then this all falls under this umbrella. Essentially make it so that people understand the actual information that they can consume it, because people don't want to spend all of their time searching for information. That's actually one of the biggest causes of business, of slow business and unproductivity. Depending on the statistics that you're looking at, that can cost anywhere between like a full day's worth of work to even like 2 days worth of work a week that people just waste having to look for important documents and information like that. So if you're doing a communication site, build around user experience so that you can cut down on a lot of that time. So with that said, that's pretty much covered most of the information that we've been talking about today. Really quick, let me open up the chat. How can I get a tree of contents, like a menu based on areas and content, some product like intranet? So basically, in terms of building out a tree of contents, that's not something that really comes with the default communication site. However, if you do want to build something like that, that would be something that we'd be covering in a different webinar in terms of site hierarchy. But I can provide a concrete answer to you later today with the webinar recording. Do you have an example that includes a news feed and announcement type feed? Yes, with our intranet. Let's go back to that. So newsfeed. So the newsfeed is actually a distinct web part within SharePoint Online. Like you can go to a page and just add the newsfeed, but like right here, so you can see here's some upcoming events that are going on. You can also have see like here news and announcements. Basically, you just go you can add like a news web part for if you want to have that on the main page. So basically, what you do is you just build out different news articles and everything that's going on with your company, or have a feed in from other organizations. Depending on, although there's workflows for that and everything. So clicking right here, going to the featured news. So this was created internally within the company, essentially written up. You can even have embed videos in there. These are great for if you want to have like internal blogs of interesting things for the company, whether that's just fun facts that you want to use, or fun facts about your industry in general. But yes, you can have an embedded news feed. And if you want to have big, interesting information like that. So heading back to the PowerPoint. So new share. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to chime in, whether through the chat bubble or through their microphone. I want to make sure that everyone's getting everything they can out of this webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Okay, so if anyone doesn't have any, so if there are no more questions, or if you do have any other questions and you're a little shy, feel free to reach out to me after the fact. My email is qrussell, QRUSSELL, at mydoc365.com. I'd love to personally take the time to answer any questions you may have, maybe talk to you about our products or something. One second. how to set up a calendar. That is pretty easy. So what you want to do is really quick within SharePoint Online, we'll go to just edit the page. Really quick, just go in here. This is definitely a web part thing, but basically just let me find that. Yep. So you can have group calendar right there. And what happens is that you can add a group calendar, so you can link it. So you can actually, for different groups, you can be like, okay, so for this group, here's the marketing group. There aren't any events scheduled, but so you can sync the calendar from within Outlook, and then you can add events within. So if you do want to have a calendar.
Quentin, you're sharing the PowerPoint.
Oh, I apologize.
So we didn't see what you're doing.
I apologize for that. Let me just bring that up real quick. So basically what you do is you just go in here, you go to edit the page, and you go to add here, and you say, okay, let me just add a group calendar. And then what you do is you can choose one of the groups in your organization. So whoever's a part of the page or anything. So for example, if you want to link it up to webinar demo environment, you can say, okay, so these are the events that are coming up. You can also sync a calendar. So basically, if there are any events that are going on in another group or something, it will show you that information. While there aren't any events showing up here, let me show you within here, upcoming events, see all. It will open up. So here are the events and everything. And then, so it'll show you the actual calendar information. And then there should be a calendar within here really quick. Employee resources. Yep, there we go, calendar. And you can link the calendar within the page to send people to this page. It's basically just a link within here. There's multiple ways you could do that. You could have it as just, you could get a link to the online calendar and go into back into the page itself. So like, say if you wanted to have a link to the calendar within here, what you do is you go in here, click on this, edit this, and then go over here to this link and change the link to the calendar that you're wanting to share with everyone or have the information for. So yeah, I apologize for not switching my screen over earlier. But does anyone have any other questions? One second. No, all right. With that said, I think that's everything. Let me go back to the PowerPoint real quick. So, oh, 1 second. What about look and feel? Is the use of the CSS possible? Yes, you can modify the overall look. Like it doesn't have to, like as you saw with Doc Intranet, as you saw with our LMS, and let me show you with some of our other, I'm just going to share this real quick. As you can see with some of our other products, even despite it being built on a communication site and using that as the base, it definitely doesn't look like that default communication site that I showed you. Like, for example, let's go to not project management. It'd be something like, we'll go to, well, I mean, yeah, we'll just go to the LMS. We'll go back to the LMS real quick. But as you can see with the LMS, like, it definitely does not look like, if it would load it, like this definitely does not look like a default communication site. You can get in there and customize the backend code. Like that's what we've done with all of our different products. That's definitely a big step up over just using basic communication sites, and that's not exactly my forte. I generally work within out-of-the-box SharePoint. Because it's a lot easier to use, and it's definitely not a lot of the CSS and a lot of the back end stuff and a lot of customizing the look and feel of it is not exactly my, since it's not relevant to what I do, not relevant to a lot of the work that I perform. It's not really my forte. So like if you do want to do more CSS stuff, you can. That's something that would be a little bit out of the SharePoint basics wheelhouse. However, my recommendation is that with a lot of things, a lot of the higher end custom SharePoint online work and any projects that you might want to build, or sites that you might, or sites and tools you might want to build, it's almost better to go with a custom company. Someone like Doc, for example, to toot our own horn and everything, not just because it's easier, but it's also less time that you're spending having to learn how to do it, less time that you're having to spend on the upkeep. Because a lot of times, any custom work that you do, Microsoft will release an update that will say, kind of wreck a lot of the stuff that you're doing. And you'll have to go in and figure out how to readjust that back with Microsoft's everything, with the, to fit with the update that Microsoft just released. However, with a custom company, since that's all they're doing, they will have anticipated this, or if the update comes and it breaks something, they'll have to fix that within a day, because that's what they do. They have a whole team dedicated to that. Like for us, we have a whole team that's just dedicated. Whenever a Microsoft update releases, we identify any problems that are going on, we jump on it, and we fix the problem. And within like a day or two, not even a day or two, within at least 12 hours, we have a fix. And if we don't, we we communicate with you, tell you what's going on, and provide you any updates on when you can expect to have full service returned to you. And that's really the benefit of working with a that's just really the benefit of working with a internet company when you want more custom work done. So if you are interested in custom work, if you are interested, custom work, more like if you are interested in a higher level SharePoint solution that'll help you get the most out of your SharePoint investment, I do recommend Doc 365. Tooting my own horn, I'm a lot biased here with the whole shirt and everything in the background, but we don't do a lot, in terms of what we do with SharePoint, we don't do a lot of bells and whistles. You can get bells and whistles if you want them, but we basically take the everything SharePoint and to the furthest extreme, so that you're not having to learn how to use a whole system. You're not having to learn how to use anything outside of Microsoft's wheelhouse. Basically, the last 20 years that everyone's been spending learning how to use Microsoft, like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, you're able to just translate that knowledge and information and that ability to use over into the resource that you're using, because it's just Office 365, but better. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, if you want to work with us or anything, our phone number is 904-309-9970. You can email us at info@mydoc365.com. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. And if you want to have a demo of any of our products, it's completely free, 30 minutes, no obligation. Just head on over to one of our product pages, mydoc365.com. It'll be under the products tab. Find the one that you want. I highly recommend our internet portal and our contract management system. Those seem to be the best selling, best performing, especially our contract management system, because it's you're not going to find another system like that for the price, but that's just me. So if no one else has any other questions, my name is Quentin Russell. This has been the SharePoint Basics series communication sites. I hope you all have a great day, and thank you so much.